In this tutorial series, we are analyzing 10 Oscar Peterson licks. And if you're not that familiar with Oscar's playing, this will give you a very good insight into how he puts his solos together. He plays a lot of bebop mixed with gospel music and mixed with straight ahead jazz, obviously, and also blues. So there's a lot to Oscar's playing. When you hear him play, you know automatically that it's Oscar. So what is it that gives him that sound, and how can you add that sound to your piano playing to give it a little bit of an Oscar twist? So we're focused on the song You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To, and in a moment I'm going to play a solo that I lifted by Oscar off an album with Ben Webster. And this was done back in 1957. So kind of early years for Oscar, so it's not as complicated as some other things. And I think that's a good thing, because as soon as you start to lift Oscar Peterson's playing, you start to realize very quickly that there's a lot of notes and a lot of complicated things going on. So it's nice to kind of pull back from that and get something that's really nice to play and also gives you some insight into how you can add his playing to your playing. So the tune is... Okay, so if you're not familiar with that tune, I'm gonna post some sheet music later along with the piano solo transcription so that you can learn it and practice it. So let's dive in right now and get started with our 10 Oscar Peterson licks. Now, you'll notice that at the beginning here, and we're really only doing one chorus of solo because that's all he plays on the album, this section here is not really a lick. So I'm not gonna label that as a lick. It's just basically a rhythmic pattern. Now, it's interesting over the key of A minor. He's basically taking the root and the flat 5, which in the blues scale is a very prominent note. And so he's put that blue note together with the root, kind of like a train sound. And like I said, it's not really a lick, but it was nice to point that out. So let's move on to the next line of soloing, where you have this. Okay, so I'm going to play the entire solo for you right now, and then we're going to come back and discuss this particular lick. So let me do that. All right, so there you have Oscar's solo that I lifted, which he played over the tune You'd Be So Nice to Come Home To. And we're on basically the second line, the second 4 bars of the tune, because as we discussed earlier, there was just this rhythmic pattern at the beginning. And now we're into Oscar's licks. So the first one is going to be here. And I think it's a really, really important one, because it basically is something that he does a lot and something that you can find in bebop. So the first bar goes like this. And I think that's really part of the lick. He's just getting to that B flat, which is the 7th of the chord. But there's this triplet pattern. And I think that's something that you can learn to play over any dominant 7th chord. So for example, over F7, C7, B flat 7. So that's something that you'll hear quite a lot. What gives it that flavor or that sound that it has? Obviously the triplet, which is really important. And I think you should play this with the 4th finger, 5th, 4th, and then just 3, 2, 1. Now, of course, that depends on what this next note is, and you might change the fingering for that. But it doesn't, so that's good. And then what I would do is I would switch to the 5th finger here, just do a jump. But I think that's, like I said, a good Oscar Peterson lick. And that's something that you can add to your playing. So for example, if we were doing our own solo, and again, that's really the whole point of these 10 Oscar Peterson licks, this being lick number 1, so that we can analyze it and add it in other keys into our own playing. So again, that's one that you really want. And then there's another lick at the end of this. So consider all of these notes here, 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 and here, just like passing notes. Now, again, you've got this triplet pattern for these last 3 notes, and I think the fingerings are 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, but it's not really a lick. It's just a bunch of passing notes. This is the lick here at the end, where it goes from the 3rd of the chord to the 9th, to the root, to 5, to 7, and to 13 or 6, okay? Now, the reason why that sounds so good is because it plays right into the bebop world. And that last little 8th note, this is B and this is bop. And that's what gives it that sound. So again, what we're doing here is he's approaching just the chord itself, no alterations, and just finding ways of putting bebop at the end of the phrase. Now he could have done it like this, but he did it like this. And I think that's important because you've got this 7th to the 6th of the chord as the bebop. He's not ending on the 3rd or the 5th, he's ending on the 6th. It does that a lot. So the whole line is and I think that's very reminiscent of Oscar's playing. Now the good news here is that that's not a lot of notes. And in the next video, he's going to get more and more complicated as the tune goes on. So let's leave it at that for now. I think it's important that you grab the sheet music. I'm going to put a link up here in the corner for you to download that and practice it and get it under your fingers. But it's really all about analysis. So if all you're doing is copying it and you don't really know what's going on, then that's why this video tutorial series is a good thing. So I'll see you in the next video. And again, we're going to get more and more complicated as it goes on, but there's some great Oscar licks to be learning. Thanks so much for your time. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, just hit the little bell when you do, because you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos that we're making, including all of the videos in this Oscar Peterson tutorial series. Thanks for your time.